With the MCU timeline more complicated than ever, the Black Widow prequel aims to fill in some of those storyline gaps, give us more details on Natasha's backstory, and finally reveal why she defected from Russia and joined S.H.I.E.L.D. Between the high-octane action, the movie has a whole lot to pack in, including some possible answers to Natasha's past with Hawkeye in Budapest. From Prelude comics to set secrets, learn about some mysteries Black Widow will reveal the answers to with its huge release in May.
That's really gross.
We've spent years speculating, coming up with theories and writing fan fiction about what actually went down in Budapest between Black Widow and Hawkeye. Well, Black Widow may finally give us our answer. Early trailers have showcased the character in Budapest, and we were instantly taken back to the conversation the two had in the Avengers, a conversation they left a mystery for numerous years. We were teased again about the whole Budapest backstory during Avengers Endgame, so now we want some answers. Did they fight together? Did Black Widow fill up her red ledger to the max? We haven't had any confirmation yet, but we can only imagine that Hawkeye has to have at least one small cameo in the movie. Hopefully it's in the form of a flashback which alludes to their time in Budapest. Maybe Natasha will see a part of the city that triggers her memories with Hawkeye. Maybe they were on opposite sides of the line and Black Widow once again was pulling punches. Or maybe, just maybe, Auntie Nat and Hawkeye got a little too close for comfort, and the whole incident is simply referred to as Budapest, instead of something a little more scandalous. We're going to eliminate the latter though. Clint is way too much of a family guy now. It's most likely some type of battle, one we're all desperate to see on the big screen, or at least in a Disney Plus show entitled Budapest. Endgame packed an emotional power punch as the team of superheroes did everything they could to defeat Thanos once and for all. And in the end, we all cried, mourned, and watched our heroes give Iron Man a proper send-off, all while Natasha's lifeless body just laid on Vormir. We all knew the Solo movie was coming, and the film finally gave us a chance to give Black Widow a proper send-off. We're not exactly sure how the movie will be framed, but there are so many ways to include a Black Widow funeral. The film could start with a funeral, as Clint delivers her eulogy and we flash back to the heroic story that takes place between Civil War and Infinity War. The film could end with the funeral, and a montage of her time in the MCU as we flash back through each appearance and drastic hair changes. Either way, the movie alone is not enough. We need some type of closure, and the solo movie of the hero is the ideal way to do this for fans. Plus, some great MCU cameos would be an awesome bonus. Toss in some Bruce Banner, Scott Lang, and even some Happy Hogan. We've already seen how the big screen version of Natasha was trained in the Red Room, but those scenes were just tiny fragments that took place during the Avengers Age of Ultron. Now it's time to flesh those out a little bit. In the Black Widow comic book Prelude, we see some of the Red Room, but will there be even more? What else did her training consist of? How much did she do to fight the ceremony, which prevented her from ever having kids again? The Prelude comic also mentions the Red Room is no longer in operation. Was it Natasha who shut it down? How did it close? We don't need a whole movie filled with flashbacks, but a 10-minute flashback segment could help fill in these blanks, give us some true answers, and really help flesh out Natasha's character and personal struggles. With some de-aging technology, we would love to see some of her first missions, the ones before she defected to S.H.I.E.L.D. and the United States. If the movie is going to cover the Red Room, why not go even further, like all the way back to the origin of her parents? Considering the timeline shift, do not expect many answers here. During Endgame, Red Skull reveals that Black Widow's father's name is Ivan. She quickly tells Hawkeye that she didn't even know that. So if Black Widow takes place before the events of Endgame, then we probably won't have any true answers about her birth. The Black Widow Prelude did say that she was orphaned super young though. While we may not have the mystery of Ivan answered, we will definitely get to see a lot of parental figures in Natasha's life. In the Red Room, Natasha gets trained by Madam B. The personal struggle between the two is extremely complicated and could lead to some present-day problems for Natasha in the movie. Early clip reveals of the movie also showcase some type of unorthodox family life. Black Widow and another Red Room trainee named Yelena were sister roles to the parents of Melina Vostokov and Alexei Shostakov, better known as the Red Guardian. The odd family dynamic will definitely come into play for the movie and probably represent more of her family life than figuring out who the birth parents ever would. One of the biggest timeline questions we want Black Widow to answer is how exactly did Black Widow go from being on the run to joining back up with the Secret Avengers? There's multiple ways the movie could answer the question. A post-credit scene would be an ideal way to tie things up and even present a fun Chris Evans cameo. Natasha could get a call out of nowhere, kinda like how Captain Marvel's logo appeared on Nick Fury's pager. All we would need to see was Captain America's shield and understand exactly what happened. Considering that the Falcon and the Winter Soldier show is coming out soon, we could easily see Sam Wilson pop up for a promotional cameo that also serves the same purpose. In a dream world, the movie would throw us a swerve and the whole second half would just be Black Widow teaming up with Captain America and the Falcon for some secret Avengers missions, but we all know that's not gonna happen. Either way, the final scene, mid-credits or post-credits will allude to the Secret Avengers in some way or form. Once that's done, the Black Widow movie will definitely fit into the timeline between Civil War and Infinity War. Even though we know when the movie takes place, we have to wonder, does the story take place on the same timeline we followed for the majority of the MCU? After all, because of the Infinity Stones shenanigans during Endgame, we now have multiple timelines, including one where Captain America decided to live out his dream life with Peggy Carter. We imagine Marvel doesn't want to complicate things too much, but what if this version of Black Widow actually exists in the same timeline where Steve Rogers lived out his full life? Our biggest clue to this? In a preview scene that was screened exclusively for the CCXP, Red Guardian mentions some past history with Rogers, specifically saying he was his adversary. Does this mean they met in the past? During Red Guardian's prime, Cap should have been frozen in ice, unless they had an encounter in the alternate timeline. Who knows? Well, who knows is, well, just everyone involved in the movie, and we'll be anxiously awaiting the extended version of the scene and a much longer explanation of the history between the Red Guardian and Captain America. Since this is Black Widow's movie, don't expect a lot of Steve Rogers, but some exposition would be nice to help fill in the gaps. The planet Vormir and the Soul Stone sacrifice was showcased with both Black Widow and Gamora, but we didn't stay on the planet too long after their passing. Theories have popped up that once the body gets sacrificed, the person must visit the soul world to be judged by a higher power. If this ends up being true, then we could have the perfect setup for the Black Widow movie. Natasha could be confronted by the higher power, reliving her history, including the main timeline between Civil War and Infinity War, where she travels back home to make up for the mistakes of her past. The setup on Vormir would certainly make the film feel a lot less like a forced prequel and something that fits into the current timeline. But at the end of the day, we don't want any false hope of Natasha returning in the future. The Hulk already made it clear there was no coming back from a Soul Stone sacrifice. Hopefully there is some moment that does showcase a final resting place, or at least turn her body to dust or something, but we don't think she's lying dormant on the planet for years and years. One of the biggest mysteries the film will solve is the identity of the villain Taskmaster. Hidden behind the mask, the Taskmaster has a rich history in Marvel Comics, but we know how the MCU loves to switch things up. We all remember that dreadful Mandarin twist from Iron Man 3. Just from the trailer alone, some theories have popped up. The Taskmaster is Hawkeye, the Taskmaster is a Black Widow clone. Well, those answers are probably false. The only reason the Taskmaster has the same abilities as Hawkeye and the Black Widow is because that is the superpower the Taskmaster has. The villain can instantly duplicate the skills and powers of others. So now we just have to know who has that ability. All signs point to a potential gender swap. Our best bet? One of Black Widow's former mentors and partners, Melina Vostokov. We haven't seen a lot of her in the trailers, but she should have a big role in the film, and making her the Taskmaster would create a really personal connection between the main villain and Black Widow. Who do you think the Taskmaster is? Drop a comment below with your guess. While Natasha may have perished during Endgame, will we see the end of the Black Widow moniker forever? We already know Sam Wilson is taking up the mantle of Captain America, but will someone else don the black leather suit and become the Black Widow? Why not? Once again, using the prequel story to set up the future of Marvel only makes sense. And the character who is perfectly suited to become the new Black Widow? Yelena Belova. Her so-called sister, Yelena, also trained in the Red Room, and clearly has many of the same skills as Natasha. Why set up Yelena for just a single Marvel movie when actress Florence Pugh could expand her role into a memorable new character for the MCU? And just because Yelena was also trained in the Red Room doesn't mean she has to be a clone of Natasha's Black Widow. She could be a little rougher around the edges, make some morally questionable decisions, and forge relationships with all different characters. Well, anything besides a potential romance with the Hulk. Let's not go there again. The world of Black Canaries has worked well in the Arrowverse, so it only makes sense to expand the Black Widow mantle in Marvel. As clearly shown in the multiple Black Widow trailers so far, one of Natasha's biggest threats in the movie will be General Ross, as he hunts her down for a violation of the Sokovia Accords. Ross's role is expanded further in the Black Widow prelude, where he goes over her history and his desire to catch her for helping Captain America out. Our biggest question? Why is Ross so focused on Black Widow? According to the prelude, he doesn't even have solid evidence that she helped Steve escape. He's basically going on a worldwide manhunt based on hearsay. But why Black Widow? Why is he focusing on someone who violated the Sokovia Accords and doesn't even have true superpowers? Why doesn't he put his efforts into finding Captain America or the Falcon instead? Does Ross know something that we don't? What is he hiding from us? And will there be any revelations? Or is he just another obstacle for Natasha to overcome? And will he ever transform into Red Hulk, finally giving us a great Red Hulk versus Green Hulk showdown? He's been around since the early days of the MCU, and we're all ready for the big transformation. But for now, he'll spend his time hunting down Black Widow. We're really getting pumped up now. It's been too long without some Marvel on the big screen. So what do you think will happen in Black Widow? Does it take place on an alternate timeline? Will the movie give us definitive answers? Let us know what you think down below and click subscribe too. We'd really appreciate that. We'll see you next time.